Hello and welcome to our Zebra BI webinar. I'm Andrej of Zebra BI, and today I'm extremely happy that finally, finally we found the right time to present a very interesting topic, namely the dynamic commentary in Power BI. We wanted to do this already 2 years ago, and somehow we never found the right time, but today is the day. Dynamic commentary in Power BI. Why is commenting important in your Power BI reports and dashboards? Namely, most of the dashboards and reports that I have seen don't actually have any kind of comments or explanatory, notes or anything like that, any text comments that would actually explain certain values, figures, variances to plan or something like that, let alone that they would be dynamic. Okay, why is it important? It's important because there's always certain situations, certain facts maybe even, that are not in your Power BI model, but they may be in the heads of your coworkers or hidden somewhere outside the system or in certain other data sources that are not connected to Power BI and so on. And if you can organize people, or you yourself can actually write those comments, write those explanations somewhere, and in a certain way manage to pull those comments into your Power BI dashboards, you will make your reports and dashboards much more understandable and much more actionable, because those comments will answer the question why something has happened. As in my case here, my net earnings in March 2019, for example, were below the plan for $9 million US, and I can actually read why. Net earnings below the plan, mostly due to certain business units below the plan, and so on. And so the explanation, the value of such a comment can be really very high, because it can simply contain certain information that is not in your Power BI, but it may be of vital importance. And now, if you can manage to pull in into your Power BI reports dynamic comments that would actually change with the period. For example, if I now change my period in Power BI, my comments change, so I get new comments. And so if you manage to do this in a dynamic way, and also if you manage to organize perhaps a few more people to write those comments and then channel everything to the right dashboard page and deliver that to the right user, you have done a great deal, and definitely you will have much better and much more actionable comments in Power BI. All right, so this is the topic for today, and actually I will explain exactly how I created this. I will explain different methods how to do dynamic commentary in Power BI, but before we dive into the details, let me briefly present myself. So I'm Andrej, the founder at Zebra BI. I'm a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, and also a HEHERT IBCS certified consultant. And today with me, I also have Tine, who is a BI consultant here at Zebra BI. So Tine will help me conduct this session. He will monitor the Q&A and make sure you get your answers, get your questions answered.
Yeah.
Tine, would you say hi to our audience?
Of course. Hello, everybody. Again, we're super happy to see so many of you joining today's webinar. Well, today Andrej will be showing you how commentary in Power BI looks like. I'll be working on slightly different commentary that is kind of answering your question in the chat section. So feel free to post your questions there. Yeah, Andrej, back to you.
Great, thanks, Tine. thanks, Tina. The agenda for today, we will have almost 1 hour, an almost 1 hour session where I will explain 5 methods of commenting in Power BI, some static, most of them dynamic, 5 completely different ways how you can do that in Power BI. I will explain some basics of modeling for commentary, for dynamic commentary, how to include the comments in your Power BI model, a little bit of DAX, not too much for today, but a little bit still. And then we will see different options how to actually display the comments in your reports and dashboards using different methods and different design options, conditional formatting, stuff like that. And then moving on, we will briefly touch on a few ways how to make sure that multiple users are commenting on your dashboards, how to orchestrate that, how to organize different users to comment on certain values in your Power BI model, including at least one way how to do the write back directly from Power BI, meaning writing comments right directly from your Power BI pages. And maybe also one quick sneak peek into what I would call the holy grail of dynamic commenting. And these are linked comments. I will explain this right at the end of this webinar, where we will also then follow up with the resources, download links. We will share everything what we will do today, including the PBIX files, DAX, formulas, and so on. There will be an extensive Q&A at the end, so we will stay for as long as you will have your questions here. So we'll be here today to answer your questions extensively. And yes, we are recording this, so everybody who registered will get the recording 1 or 2 days after the webinar. All right, these are the 5 methods of commenting in Power BI. So at least 5, probably there are more, but the basic one, number 1, would be probably just dummy static text boxes. Many people are still doing that just because it's very easy to add a text box and write something into a Power BI report page, which of course can look quite nice and it still adds value, but it's not dynamic. So if any end user will change a filter or something on a page, the static text boxes will not change. So that's quite problematic. So everything else that we'll explore today is about dynamic commentary. So the next option, actually a built-in option in Power BI that sort of offers this functionality, is actually called the comments feature, right? So you can now use those comments in both Power BI dashboards when you pin the tiles to a Power BI dashboard, or also inside Power BI reports. I will just briefly show this. Now this only works in Power BI service, right? It does not work in Power BI desktop, and it's more of a chat function almost. I would say it's not really the complete commenting solution. All right, moving on. Number 3, dynamic. This is what I call dynamic matrix. Okay, just the basic matrix visual in Power BI allows you actually to format values and include text fields. So we will use the matrix visual in Power BI to actually display the comments in Power BI. Next one is very new. It was introduced in the September version of Power BI desktop. That is September 2020. Okay, this is still a preview feature, but we will explore it because it's very interesting and it allows for formatting of different parts of text and also making it dynamic, which is perfect for commenting. And maybe the last one that I'll mention today, is a Power App, because you can build your own Power App for commenting, dynamic entry, and then include that Power App via custom visual into your Power BI reports and dashboards. Okay, and the last one, so the Power Apps also enables you to do the write back. Okay, so this is also then a method where you can actually enable your end users to write the comments directly from your Power BI pages. There are actually other options in Power BI to sort of provide for, commenting here and there. You can include your Power BI reports in Teams, and then, provide some commenting chat functionality there. It's an interesting combination. You can use dynamic report page tooltips and then include comments in those tooltips to bring in the comments onto your visuals. You have options for dynamic titles, right, in Power BI, so you can use that, and so on. So I'll try to just drop a few ideas here and there while we do this session. Okay, right. So to start with basically any commenting solution, the number one prerequisite for that is a comments table. Okay, so the comments table is a simple table, and I will just start with a simple table in Excel where you have at least 2 columns. In my case here, the first one would be a column with text, which of course contains your comments. Okay, so you can write this into Excel, or your users can write this into Excel. This can be an Excel file somewhere, or even better, you can upload this Excel file to a SharePoint folder, or just drop it on a OneDrive or something, to make sure that many people, more users have access to that, and more users can actually write those comments. But in the end, it should be just one table where one column contains a text fields with comments, and then the next one, at least I would say the minimum, one more that is the minimum requirement here, is a date field that will serve as a link, as a relationship to your calendar dimension. Okay, so because most of the time you will want your comments to be linked or filtered by a certain time period, like 1 month, and then when you change your month from March to April, you expect your comments to change, and so on. So that's why you need to have the date, either a date ID or just a date field, so the date time values depending on your Power BI model. But this is a minimum requirement. Now, in a realistic case, your comments will probably also refer to certain KPIs or maybe business units and so on, and you might also want that a filter for a KPI or a filter for a business unit or something like that actually also filters your comments. And then in this case, of course, you will need to add additional columns to your comments table. So in my example that I'm building today, we will actually use this column with the IDs of my KPIs, because as you will see, I have several KPIs like net earnings and free cash flow and EBITDA and so on. So right, and I want my comments to be filtered by those KPIs. That's why I'm including the KPI ID column here, but you may want to have a different one like business units or accounts, or multiple columns like that. Okay, so once you have this table ready, you will include it into your Power BI model. Okay, so well, the you know, just the best Power BI model in most situations is still a proper star schema where you have a fact table. This is also in my case here. I have certain values, and then I have a couple of dimensions around my fact table. So I have my calendar here, and I also have some accounts. So these accounts are actually my KPIs, okay? And then I also have some business units and so on. And then what you need to do, once you will load your table into Power BI, you will get another table here, and you will need to make the relationship from the calendar table to the comments table. So one-to-many relationship in the direction from calendar to your comments, right? So, and this is to make sure that you know, your time filters will actually filter the comments table. Now, in my case, I also have the link between my accounts and my KPI ID. So this is now to make sure that the IDs here are KPIs will also filter the comments in my case. And I do have a particular situation here where I actually use bidirectional relationship, which is maybe not the best practice in Power BI, but in my case here, it was a quick fix. So I'll explain this a little bit later. All right, so I will explain the DAX also, but let's now switch to Power BI, and let me show you what I mean. So my Excel table looks like this. Just to open once more the same thing here. So this is a simple Excel table now, my comments, my date ID, my KPIs, and so on, right? So the first step, if you don't have the comments already in your Power BI, will be just to pull the comments table here. So I will just simply import my comments table. Okay, so basically you just do it like this. Let's open this. And yeah, this is my comments table. As you see, it's here, and you simply load this into your Power BI model. Okay, now I already have this in my Power BI model, so I will just not click load, but once you click load, you will get this table here. Of course, the table, once you load it in, it will not be related to any other dimensions. So like you will not have any relationship. So you need to make sure that you just make the relationship. So definitely, I guess in like 99% of cases, you will need to just link the date ID from your calendar here to the date ID from your comments table. So you need to make sure that those two columns, the date column in your comments and the date column in your calendar, you know, match. So they have the same type and so on. I'm using the date ID. You could use also the date time column, but actually date ID is the best option to do that. And then in my case, I also created this relationship between KPI and accounts, because as you will see now in my board now, I now have this, I now have the comments here, which are already nicely designed and so on. But before we come to this, we will first pull in our comments. So once you load the comments and make a relationship, you will have your comments. You will see your comments table here. Okay, so basically you will have the comments text field and the date ID. I have already hidden my date ID because I will not use the date from my comments table. I will actually use the date from my calendar table. Okay, because I already have a relationship. So let's just test this. Once you load the comments, you can display the comments let's just use a simple matrix as a start, okay? And I will just pull my comment field, my comment column, just click, and these are my columns here. Okay, so I got a few comments from my table, and this is it. I mean, this is already like the basic version of commenting, just having, you know, comments for certain periods. Now, because I made the relationship, this should already work. If I switch the month, the comments are changing. Okay, so this is the minimum thing, you know, just having a table, pull it in and relate it to your basic filters here. Okay, but I will try to make it slightly more comprehensive and nicer. So let's start here with a few design options. So first of all, what is this now? In my matrix, these are now my rows. Okay, comments are my rows at the moment. Okay, so let's just make the row headers slightly bigger. All right, okay. So the first thing that I did here is, as you will see, the comments here, they don't have enough space. Now the matrix visual does allow you to add a little bit more space between the rows, but what I did here is actually just created. I took the comments field, and then I just what I just did is, sorry, this one. So instead of my comment field here from the table, I will actually use a slightly modified version of that. Make this bigger, where I simply added a line feed. This is the actually the formula, the DAX formula for the character that returns one blank line. Okay, just it's new line. So this is the new line character and a non-breaking space. So this is just to make sure that I get an additional empty row at the end of each comment. So instead of just displaying comments, I will now display the comments with this empty row. Okay, so just to, you know, create some space here. All right, now what I wanted to do here is not just have the comments, but also have this field here with like a comment header or something, you know, comment summary, where I actually display the name of the KPI and then also the value of the KPI here. So my net earnings here, as you can see, month to date, below the plan, 8.6, right? So this is also here. So what did I do? And so this is number one. And before we go there, I also created those little circled numbers. This is what's called a comment marker in the IBCS standard, and it's a nice way just to, you know, mark the comments. And as we will see towards the end, we will use the same shapes here also within the visuals, just to make sure that we link those numbers to actual values on the dashboard page inside the visuals. Okay, so ultimately that's the goal of those circled numbers. Okay, so that's why I now created two more elements for this. So the first one is the KPI text. Okay, so basically I do have my KPI name already in the comments table, so I could simply just, you know, add the KPI table. And now, because I'm creating a hierarchy here, I need to expand this in my matrix. So you see, this is the KPI name, but I also want to display the value here. So that's why what I did is, instead of adding the KPI here, I actually created a measure called KPI text. And this DEX looks slightly complicated, but it's not really. So the KPI text is simply I evaluate the measure. So I basically just concatenate the value that I want to display. And in my case, this is delta plan. Okay, so delta plan, as you see, so this is the first part here, delta plan, and then I'm simply concatenating this with my KPI name. So this is my KPI name, and then I take my value and I format the value as in millions because I want to display this in millions. So I'm just using a text function, format function to format the value into this text. Yeah, and also I'm also adding some spaces here, and it looks slightly more complicated because I'm also checking whether my variance to plan here is positive or negative, right? And then if the value is below 0, so if it's a negative number, then the format already returns minus in front of the number. But if the value, if this variance is a positive number, then I'm adding a plus sign in front of the number, in front of the value in my number format here. So this plus here comes from this format expression here. Okay, so I will share the DEX formulas here. I don't want to go too deep into DEX, but so this is my variance to plan. It's simply my actuals minus my plan. All right, this is the delta plan, and then this is my KPI text. So instead of my KPIs, I will now use the KPI text, put it into rows. For now, I'll put it in the rows. Okay, actually, I can't put it in the rows. Already here, I have a problem. This is now a measure, so I will put this into my values. Okay. Now, what I will also do is I will move my comments into the values, right, and as rows, and I will use those numbers here as rows. Okay, so that's why I created two more measures. The first one, this one is sort of important. Okay, this is the number, the sequential number of my comments within a date, within my date period. Okay, so basically what I'm doing here is I'm counting a number, you know, ranking my comments, Maybe I should just show the comments table here, how it actually looks in my case, right? So as you see, I have for March 2019, I have actually 3 comments, right? March. I have 3 comments for 3 KPIs, okay? So what I did here is I simply counted how many comments are for each period. So this will be my comment number 1 for March 19, and then comment number 2 for March 19, comment number 3 for March 19, okay? So this is the number of comment. It's just a number 1 to 3, right? And then I use this comment number to actually create another calculated column. This is actually a calculated column, and this is also a calculated column that takes the number and simply transfers it to the text character that has the same number 1, but it's just circled here, and then I'll use this text character for display in my table. All right, so going back here, now my comment number, this is the DEX for that. Again, just I will share my DEX so you can just copy and paste. And then so I get the comment number, and then I have just one more calculated column here called comment marker, where I take my the number of column 1 to 3, and then I just add this to a character with a circled number, right? So character 9311 plus 1. So character 9312 is actually number 1 in circle, and then 9313 is, you know, the second one, number 2 in the circle, and so on. So this is eventually the comment marker. I will use this as a comment marker, and I will now put this calculated column into my rows. Okay, so now I'm getting somewhere. I'm getting closer. Okay, because now I have, you see, I have my comment marker here, and these are now my rows 1 to 3, and then I have 2 values, KPI text and first comment for the marker. Okay, so this is basically now, this is now the basics for this matrix. Okay, only my matrix looks slightly nicer because I have used a couple of design, you know, options, design settings, and a few tricks here. So how did I come to this version? Let's try a few things here. So first of all, row headers. Row headers are actually now my comment markers, right? So let's make them slightly bigger. Text size, increase the text size like that. Actually, I actually also changed the font type to Calibri just because those comment markers, exactly those symbols, are not rendered reliably on the Power BI service. And I just discovered that the Calibri font actually works better for special characters like that. At least those exact special characters. But these are my comment markers, and I will change the color to some blue color. All right, it's here already. I don't see the blue color at the moment, but we'll get to that. So these are my row headers. All right. Yeah, first thing that we'll do, we will turn off the stepped layout. Okay, I think we don't need this. And so this is it for now. This is it here. Okay, so now as you see here on my right side, I actually managed to display my value columns, not left right as normal columns in your matrix, right, but one below the other. Okay, how do you do that? Oops, now I accidentally sorted this. How do you do that? In the values field, I think it's here. Yeah, you have this option called show on rows. And if you enable this, right, what happens is that all the columns are actually sort of transposed, and they are just displayed one below another. Okay, so getting slightly closer, but it looks weird now. Okay, once I did this, you see I also have the blue color magically appeared. I think this might be even a bug. Okay, banded row style. This does not really matter because okay, I'll just turn this off. This is already relatively close. One more thing that I'll do. I don't want the gray color here on my comments, so I'll just use the white background like this. Okay, now because I just need my comment markers and those 2 fields, this column, I don't need the actual names of fields here. So what I'll do is, you see, I'll simply hide it like this. But the problem is that my text is wrapping, so I need to make sure to turn the word wrap to off, but not in my values, but rather in my row headers. So let's go back and just turn the word wrap off. Okay, now I managed to hide this column. This is a subtotal here at the end. We don't need the subtotals, so let's find subtotals. All right, subtotals. I just turn this off. Okay, getting cleaner. Same problem here with the column header. Word wrap is on. I don't want this here, so let me open the column header and I'll just turn the word wrap off. So you see, by fiddling with the design a little bit, we are getting closer slightly. So maybe I don't want to spend too much time for that, but maybe the quite important, the conditional formatting to make sure that I get those nice icons here and maybe also slide background. Okay, so all right, let's make the text size slightly bigger so you guys can see something. All right, 12 points, that's big enough. Okay, now the last part here. Okay, so we'll make this column slightly more narrow. All right, like this. And then the final step here would be to add some conditional formatting on the actual headers here. How do you do that? Okay, so in the matrix, we don't need subtotals anymore. You have conditional formatting. Okay, you also have field formatting. So just by the way, for field formatting, you can select now your values, and maybe I'll just show something. So the first comment, so if you want to have slightly different font color, at least, there aren't many options here, but one thing you can do is you can change the font color. For example, have a slight difference between the header and something. Unfortunately, you cannot change the font family, make this bold or something like that, or make it bigger. That's not available at the moment in the matrix. Hopefully Microsoft will add a few more design options here, but you do have the conditional formatting, right? So on my KPI text here, I will now add the icons. Okay, and this is now the conditional formatting. And what I'll do is I'll just format my icons based on my actual value, which is here in my values. So in my original fact table, my delta plan. So this is my variance plan now. And what I'll do is I will have two rules. For the first rule, I will display like negative red triangle. The second one will be gray triangle. Okay. And what I need to do now is, okay, if my value is less than, let's start with this one. This one is easier. So if it's less than 0, but then also Power BI, unfortunately, always needs to have two sides for the rule. So how do you make it, make it work for all negative values? If you simply just delete everything from this edit box, this rule will then apply from minimum value to 0. Okay, this would mean all negative numbers. And then similarly, I could do something like if it's greater than 0 and then less than or equal to maximum. Okay, so I just delete everything, empty edit box here. This will go to maximum. Okay, so now I have negative numbers with the red icon and positive numbers with the gray icon, and you need to make sure that you switch to number here. Okay, now I can apply this rule and voila, I have my icons here. And then if you want to apply also slide background, this is also possible in a Power BI matrix. So you also have a background color here. So you can do something similar, maybe just switch here to the rules and then just do exactly the same thing for delta plan if it's greater than or equal, minimum or less than 0. So for negative numbers, and then apply something really slight background, and then similarly a very slight, maybe green or something, background if it's greater than 0 and less than or equal to maximum. Hopefully I got this right. Not quite, so I have missed a number or something. If it's great, oops. Is this what I did? Delta plan. So if it's greater than or equal to number, and less than 0, and then it's greater than 0 and less than or equal to maximum. All right, hopefully this time I got it right. Did I? I did. Okay. You see, so this is this was the first method where you simply pull in your data table of your comments, just simply put them into your into this matrix, do a little bit of design here, and now you have a nice way how to display those comments in your Power BI. Great. I hope this was understandable. Now I want to move on to the smart narrative. Okay, smart narrative. First thing that you need to know about the smart narrative. So first of all, how does the smart narrative look like? So in my case, it looks similar to what I did before with the matrix, with this difference that now a smart narrative. Okay, smart narrative is think of it as a sort of a smart text box where you can have pieces of text can be completely dynamic. Number one. Number two, you can actually format each word or each sentence or each character in a different way. So apply colors and font sizes and font types and so on, right? So which makes it very interesting for constructing dynamic comments. Okay, so instead of just having fixed text, you can make some of parts of the text dynamic. Actually, in my case here, everything here is dynamic. All right. Yeah, going back. First thing that you need to know about the smart narrative visual is that this only works in Power BI Desktop September update, so September 2020, and it is a preview feature. So if you do not have this enabled, or if you don't have the latest version of Power BI Desktop, you cannot do this, okay? But if you do have the last version, then you need to go here to the options and settings, and you'll find in the options, under the preview features, there's this smart option to enable smart narrative visual. So you need to make sure to enable this, okay? What is slightly more awkward is that even users who will open the file and if they don't have this option enabled, they won't see this visual. They'll actually just see this an error message that this visual can't be displayed. Okay, but this is now, you know, in September version, so we'll get the October version and November version and so on. So Microsoft will, I believe, quite, you know, will definitely make this a regular feature of Power BI, obviously, right? So, okay, but you can already do something like this. Let me quickly demonstrate. So once you enable this, you get the smart narrative here. So this is one way how to insert the smart narrative. The other way is actually, so this is just, you know, click, and you will get this text box. All right, it's actually a text box that is a little bit smart. Okay, so you can edit like I did just now, or the other option would be remove it. You can actually go here under insert and insert a text box like you did in the old days for a, you know, static text box. Now it's the same text box, only it can be dynamic. How do you make it dynamic? So you can write some text here, or you can click here to add a dynamic value. Okay, the way how it works is that it uses the natural language processing. So in my case, for example, let's try to pull in my comment marker. Okay, so what I want to do is, let's see how smart Power BI is. Oh, while I'm typing, I get some suggestions. Oh, here's my comment marker. That was easy. Comment marker, and then I want to show the comment marker for my first comment. So say where my comment number is 1. Haha, and here's a preview, so it's already 1 in a circle. That's great. Now you can name this value, this variable. Think of it as a variable that holds one value. At the moment, it just can hold one value. So this will be my marker 1. All right, I got it in. Next, let's add my header. So I'll add another value. And this time I want my KPI text. KPI text, where my comment ID, my comment number is 1. So see, you need to do it one by one because those values, those variables, they only return one single value. At the moment, there's no way to, return a whole list or values across multiple values for a column or something. So my KPI text, and this will be my my KPI text number 1. Okay, it's already here, so this will be EBITDA, and the third one will be my comment where comment number is 1. This is my first comment. Voila, let's add this in. Okay, so see, now I have it like this, and now you can simply select parts of the text, make that text bigger, change the color, change the font type, and so on. Bold, change the. So there are quite a lot of options here how you can do this, and you can add some interesting things now. So let me quickly show you. I don't want to spend too much time here, but you see, so basically here in my final version, I actually have multiple elements. So this is my comment marker. This is just the name of the KPI. So here I actually separated my KPI name. So this is my KPI name of my first comment. Then I have the value. So the delta plan of the value of my first comment, right? And so it's a separate. So this is a separate field now with this number, and this number, I just made this number slightly bigger. So this is font size 18. This one is slightly smaller and bold. And then I did a trick here. I actually pulled in 2 more elements, arrow up and arrow down. Okay. Now the thing with the smart narrative at the moment, September 2020, it does not provide any kind of custom conditional formatting options. At least I think not. So what I did here is I just created 2 elements, 2 measures, right? The first one is called arrow down, and it simply checks if my variance to plan is below 0. So if it's a negative plan, then this measure returns this triangle down. Okay, so it returns this triangle down. So for example here, maybe I could just go here and quickly do this. So let's say if I wanted to add the experience of editing this text is quite it's not optimal, let's say that. But if I want to add this triangle, so I can add another value. And what I want now is actually get my arrow up. So I want to get my arrow up where comment number is 1. This will be my arrow up 1. All right. And now I will select this, and that's a problem. I did not get the arrow. Why? Because let's make it because for this particular value, it's the value is actually negative. It's minus, right? So if I add another one for the down arrow, so I now want down arrow, or no, sorry, it's arrow down, where comment number is 1. All right, the second one, I see now this one is displayed, and I will make this one red. Okay, so this is a trick. I actually separated this in 2 elements, and only the relevant one is displayed. Okay, so there's always a green and a red triangle, right? But only one is displayed because I simply have this if condition here. So, you know, if plan is below 0, I display the triangle. Otherwise, I just return blank. Okay, and if I return blank, nothing is displayed here. Okay, so this is how you can pull in, you know, the elements, your comments and other elements from your Power BI model. The only thing here is that this is now only for my first comment. So this will work if now I change to my April. All right, works nicely. Okay, but only for my first comment, right? So now if you want to display several comments, you need to go through the whole procedure once more. So, you know, add this one and so on. Unfortunately, at the moment, you can try to copy this multiple times. Oh no, that was not a good idea. Now I think I pressed. Okay, undo is working. Undo works really well in Power BI actually. So copy. So if I copy this, I get a copy of this text, but this here now is a static text. So I just would need to go once more and simply, you know, create another one for my where comment number is 2, and, you know, do everything for second comments, third comment, 5 comment, and so on. So basically you need to prepare this in advance for as many comments, for the maximum number of comments that you want to display in your smart narrative. Okay, great. Those were the major 2 methods of bringing your dynamic comments into your Power BI. Okay, now as we are slowly moving towards the end of this webinar, I would just like to so the DAX that I used is in my demo. So there's actually a worksheet called DAX. So you can simply copy and paste parts of my DAX, or just simply see what I've been doing here. That's number 1. Then next, oh, this one, where's my, I just want to display my PowerPoint. Go down. Sorry, what happened to my PowerPoint? All right, that's better. Okay, so I said right now it's only preview, so you need to enable the smart narrative visual. Okay, yeah, the linked comments, maybe the holy grail of commenting, right? So now I've created a nice commentary, dynamic commentary with numbered items here. It's all dynamic using 2 different methods. Now the thing is, how do you actually connect this to your visuals, right? So, and the answer is, at the moment, there's simply no way in Power BI to do that. There are certain tricks. For example, you could use the same. So if you're using matrix, for example, if you had a table here, you can use the same comment marker measure that I created. Actually, it's a calculated column, and just put it into a measure, put it into your other matrix here with your data. Okay, just reuse the same comment marker or comment number or something in the other visual. So you can do this in the matrix, right? But in other visuals, like in charts and so on, there's no way how to pull those numbers into other visuals, right? So what we are actually announcing today here at Zebra BI is that we will have support for that in one of the next versions of Zebra BI. Okay, so I actually have a preview here, or is it? It's on my next slide here. So one of the next versions of Zebra BI will contain is it this one? Oops. I have an internal version actually. If I can pull it in just real quick, I will show this. Okay, successful. Once you pull in the visual, you have to why don't I actually? Oh, sorry. No, for some reason I don't have it now. Which version is it? This one. Just check once more. Tooltips, comments. Well, unfortunately, maybe I don't have the right version. Sorry about that, guys. I actually wanted to show you a real nice example with those comments where you simply take the comment field. So in the next one of the next versions of Zebra BI, you will have separate comments, a new comments field where you can actually drop in your comments and also comment markers, or even just the comments, and then the visual will be smart enough to number the comments, and you will have them displayed dynamically in a chart. No matter if you change the chart in Zebra BI, it will work in small multiples and it will be completely dynamic. So finally, you will be able to mix your comment tables or smart narratives and so on with and link them to the Zebra BI visuals. So that's coming up in one of our next releases. Okay, good. This is an example of that, and yeah, that brings me to the end of my presentation. So Tine, let me know about the Q&A. Let's take a few questions here, and while you're doing this, I will just show a few resources before we go into Q&A, if that's okay, Tine.
Yeah, sure, Andrej.
Right.
Thanks a lot. Great presentation. Again, we had a really lively discussion in the chat section, so I would like to thank everybody for being such a curious guest in our webinars. So yeah, of course, again, we won't be able to address all the questions, but yeah, we will try to kind of pinpoint at least some of them. So Andrej, are you ready for the first one?
Yeah, just wanted to mention two things before we dive into Q&A.
Sure.
The resources, right? So the resources, first of all, the demo, the PBIX DAX formulas, everybody will get, everybody who registered will get the recording. It will be available in 1 to 2 days. Second thing is the other resources. So this is already the 27th webinar that we are doing. So it's quite a series, and all of the recordings of the past webinars are collected here on the ZebraBI webpage. So zebrabi.com/webinars. Okay, so maybe you have noticed a few nice, DAX tricks or organization of the dashboards and the visuals and so on. So we keep all the topics here. So there's a lot of things, including, DAX tricks and dashboard tricks and so on. So this is number one resource, I would say, the webinars. And there's a new resource which I absolutely must show. So it's called the Help Center for Power BI. So it's on our website. This is the general page where you will find help for different topics, including, of course, the ZebraBI visuals. Here you will see the product releases and so on. But this is a completely new resource now. We have built a knowledge base that covers all things Power BI, from preparing data, Power Query, data modeling, tips and tricks, best practices, and so on, and visualizing data. And you will just see that, there are lots of articles, and you will have everything is written here, and you will find a lot of examples, you'll find videos, you'll find PBIX file downloads and so on. So green screen recordings, animations, and so on. So it's a nice resource. All right. Okay, Tine. Let's.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Andrej. We saw a lot of cool examples, but maybe I would start with this a bit more general question at the beginning. So Nathan wanted to know, which of these approaches do you recommend? Which one do you think is the best?
There are pros and cons to basically all of them. So at the moment, the most reliable one is, I would say, just use the matrix. At the moment, okay. So there's also, static text boxes. They are fine if you just have, if you don't need dynamic. Then you can just use static text boxes, right? So then the smart narrative is definitely something very, very interesting for the future, and I believe we will all use smart narratives for many different things, including dynamic commentary. So smart narrative, I think, in the future will be probably number one candidate for commenting. Matrix is a mature visual, so it just works, and it works across several rows and so on. So it's, at the moment, I think this is the safest method, right? And then in the future, you will slowly maybe replace it with smart narrator or something. But I personally, I'm just using the matrix now in real world and in real projects. Now there are two more which I actually mentioned, right? So there's a built-in comment function in Power BI which works on the in the service. So for example, if you go here, you have this comment option, right? So it's a built-in option, but it only works in Power BI service, and it's interesting because you can comment on something either on a whole page or on the visual, and you can simply type in a question like what's going on here, Tina, or what's going on with, I don't know, net earnings, Tina. And actually you can refer somebody by a name, so there's like, is this going to work? Okay, Tina. Okay, and now, so it's a little bit of a chat discussion here. So that's the advantage of the built-in commenting function. because you can actually refer this. Now this guy will get the email, or actually Tina on the other side will now see this, and he can reply back, and then everybody will see the discussion. Then you can bookmark this. You can actually link it to a specific visual on your page and so on. So you know, it's a nice dynamic way of chat/comment, right? And then there's the last one. Yeah.
I just received the comment, but yeah, I'm not gonna bother you answering it. But yeah, definitely you can have a chat with comments as well. So
yeah. So maybe just to finish this, so there's one more called you know, Power Apps, and Power Apps, which today we did not have time to dive into this, but Power Apps is certainly the most flexible option of everything at the moment, right? Because you can build a Power App where you have absolutely no limitation in terms of design. So you can just, if this will load, I will just show briefly. So this is now actually a Power App, and it is just brought into my Power BI report via this, you know, Power Apps visual for Power BI, and it just loaded this app. And of course, I had to develop this app, right? So you need to have somebody who will make this app for you for commenting. And this app now has two functions basically. So first, it will display all of your comments, okay? And of course, they are dynamic and so on. But then it has something that is not possible with all the other methods that I have mentioned today, and that is write back. Writing the comments back to this table, because now in the Power App, you can do something like, you know, have a button, and now the end user or multiple end users, right, can simply add, you know, write the comments directly here. So like, oh, I see here it's, you know, something like on May, you know, whatever, like May, you know, you write your comment, and then you know, you specify, you know, which period it is, or you can have drop down for KPIs or something like that, and then just, you know, submit the item, and this will be dynamically added to, linked back to your table. This table again has to reside somewhere in a SharePoint or something, but that's then the advantage of this. And of course, you can make it look whatever you want, right? Okay, and you can then, another way is to add the report page tooltip. So maybe that's I just noticed that I have here. So so this is maybe a nice trick to actually put the comment in a report page tooltip, so you can make it look really great. But yeah, so just an idea. Cool.
A lot of different options.
Yeah.
Great, Andrej. Maybe another question from Alex. So I think this one is really interesting one. So it refers to our case, but the question goes something like this. So next to date ID, can there also be a company code or organizational ID or whatever dimension? So
exactly, yes. Clearly a yes. So as you have seen, I have I already have another dimension here. Okay, not this one. So I need to go back to my original example. I have the link here from my, you see, I have in my comment table, I have my KPI ID. And this KPI ID is related to accounts, actually the accounts, right? And the accounts are, in my case, I have my accounts, but the same thing can be, so you see, I have some accounts here. I'll make this bigger. But this is just a dimension. So this is a name of my KPI here. It's a normal dimension, right? It's not, those KPIs here, in my case, are not measures. They are unpivoted KPIs, right? So and you can have business units. You can have, yeah, business units. You can have countries, whatever. Just need to make sure that you relate, make a relationship with your ID column in your dimension to your comments table.
Okay, perfect, Andrej. Thanks. Another question from Sasha. So, is it possible to insert the text in Power BI instead of uploading them from Excel or other sources?
If it's possible to enter the text in Power BI?
Yeah.
Or,
well,
yeah, okay.
I guess a part of this question is also, is it possible to make them dynamically? But this is my presumption.
Oh yeah, to enter them. Yeah, so the only way, so there are two things you can do. So first of all, you can have your comments table directly in Power BI, in your Power BI model. That's sort of possible. So, but it's not a, so you can click here on the enter data, and you can actually create a table here. So a comment table here. So you can say, okay, this is my comments table. So I'll just say comment 2, and then you have your comments, which is a text field, and your, for example, date ID or whatever else you need, and then first comment, 2019, whatever, something like that, and you simply type, okay, this one I don't need. So you can simply create a table. Instead of having it in Excel, you can have it inside here. And then once you load it, you actually have this table. And it'll behave in the same way as it would be, okay, it already, okay, this is not the right thing here. So you get my point, I guess. So, and then you make this relationship and so on, right? So it should not be one-to-one, but and now, so now you have the comments table here instead of in Excel. So these are internal comments. Now the problem is, how do you actually edit this table and maintain this table in the future? So if it's within Power BI, it's really nasty. I mean, you can change it by going to Power Query. And now this internal table in Power BI, actually, if you double click here on the source, you can now add new rows. And this is my second. So, it's like a, I would say it's a very, very primitive option, but for something simple, this could work. For everything else, you need a proper table. Either put a table into some sort of a database. It does not really matter, it's just a simple table. So it can be in a relational database somewhere, it can be in Azure, it can be on SharePoint or anywhere else. So my original comments table was in Excel, but I could actually change this. I could upload this Excel file to SharePoint, for example. So I think I actually have it somewhere. So this can be a SharePoint, and then you simply change this to a SharePoint to just link it to your SharePoint. So this is my same table within the SharePoint. And now the advantage of that, of sharing this table, right? That's quite important, because once you share this table, now it's first of all, it's in the cloud. So everybody can refresh and pull in the new comments. Number two, everybody can write the comments directly here, and you can do it within Excel or just build something more sophisticated somewhere else and make sure that the table is linked back to your Power BI model somehow.
Perfect.
I hope this answered the question.
Yeah, I think you covered it. Great. So, well, maybe let's finish with one last one, since we are 15 minutes over our time limit already.
We said we'll do an extensive Q&A. So just, yeah, we'll be here. So we'll be here until you have some meaningful questions. So today.
Perfect. So maybe one a bit more technical one. Well, Christoph wanted to know if you can somehow incorporate in dynamic comments so that they are only visible to a certain user group. So kind of implementing some kind of, let's say, row-level security or something like that. Would that be possible in commentary also?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it's perfectly possible. So you use row-level security for that. You would need to create some user roles, and yeah, there's no way for me to now show you. But yeah, the answer is yes. You would need to introduce. So you would need to add the user's identity, for example, the email of your users in a comment table, right? So another comment in your comment, another column in your comment table with your users. With your user ID, or basically that's email. Not now. So here, you know, I just add. I can't do this right now, but just add user, and then have this, you know, have email number, email from the first user. If you just want the first user to see those 3 columns, just put the user's email here, here, and here, and then for the second user, and so on. So now you have the user here, and then you need to make sure in Power BI to use the row level security, the roles in Power BI, and then create the rules for that. So if you Google you know, roles and row level security in Power BI, you will find similar examples, and I'm sure you can amend those methods also to the comments table. Yeah, very good idea.
Great. So another question from Si-Hung Lee, and well, basically here there's a request to know exactly about the hover over / tooltip function of the comments. To understand the development of figures, it would be great to see each comment to each month while hovering over the graph. Can you show or explain something more? So I guess this refers to tooltip example that you already mentioned. So maybe if you just kind of provide slightly more additional explanation for this one, might be very useful, because I think it's a really cool feature for commenting.
Yeah, that's a really cool feature. So most Power BI visuals, and now I'm talking native Power BI visuals and also other custom visuals, some of them have this field for tooltips. Okay, so the Zebra BI visuals just introduced this in version 4.4, which is already which is coming out in a week or two for everybody. It's already been certified, and it's just waiting to reach production. So also the Zebra BI visuals will have this. And the thing is, also for the other visuals, you will have in the data, in the fields section, you will, for most of them, you will find this tooltips well, or bucket, or a placeholder. And then you just take your, you see this? You just take your comment column from your comments table and just put it in the tooltips here. So this is very simple. Just, this is the first method, okay, how to do this. Just put your text column here, and now when the user goes with his mouse, you see the comment is here in the tooltip. So this is automatic behavior. Simply take the column, comments column, put it in the tooltip, and then if you want to, so this is the basic version. That's available like this, and then you can use the report page tooltip for that, as I have shown in my other example. So the method number 2 would be, okay, now instead of the default tooltip, actually use the report page tooltip to display the comment, which means that you need to have a separate page like this. So this is a separate page for the tooltip. You actually now again take your comments column from your comments, you put it in a anything really. You can put it in a table or card visual or something. Just make sure to display this. Or very interesting option, use a smart narrative here again. So use the, if you have it already, use the smart narrative, put in the comments, put in some dynamic stuff and so on, and you'll be able to create a really great looking tooltip, custom tooltip, custom report page tooltip. Then go back to your page, click on your visual, whichever visual, because this now works for all the visuals, of course, including the Zebra BI visuals, and just go here under the tooltip. And instead of using the default tooltip, just switch to this report page that you have created, like the common tooltip. And from now on, I will display this. You'll see this. Okay, good idea.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, maybe one additional question, Andrej. So when will Zebra BI titles be dynamic? So I guess this kind of refers to the teaser example.
Yeah, they will be dynamic as soon as the custom visuals API in Microsoft's Power BI will actually allow that. So at the moment, this is still not available for Power BI, but it's for custom visuals in Power BI, but it's coming out. I cannot discuss the dates here, but it's definitely coming. So it won't be in the next version or something, but it should be. It should be. So whoever is interested, please write to us, and we'll make sure that we notify you once it's available. But it's definitely coming, and it's our great wish to support this.
Okay. Well, Andrej, I think we kind of came to the end. I think we cover a majority of the questions. Still, of course, some of them are open, but yeah, we will try to address them as soon as possible after the webinar. Also, maybe one additional thing. So I see there are a lot of questions regarding Power Apps. So this was kind of a really hot topic that, yeah, maybe we will address in some of the future webinars. So also,
yeah, thanks to everybody. We can do another one
feedback.
of Power Apps. Definitely, yeah, we can do that. I mean, it takes some time to explain how to create a Power App and so on. There are also some licensing considerations. It's a great way of doing comments. Probably if you have licenses for Power Apps, it's a really great way. It's flexible. You have to write back. It's the only real write back solution. So yeah, thanks for that. We'll think about it, and we can do another webinar on that. Sure, it's a very interesting topic and a very good way. So I encourage you to try that. So yeah.
Okay, perfect. So from my side, I would really like to thank everybody for a lot of great questions. I hope you enjoyed this webinar, and hopefully we'll see you next time. So Andrej, any final words?
Well, my final word would be make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because all of the videos that we are creating and everything, all the materials are there, and we are also announcing our new product releases and new helpful material that we are putting out. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yeah, connect with us through LinkedIn or Twitter, and give us feedback, and see you at our next webinar, which will be soon. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Cheers.